Now, you came out with a TikTok or
I did.
a reel or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
right?
TikTok.
And would you agree with me that you were pretty angry when you did that?
Yeah, definitely emotional.
So tell the judge, why were you emotional when you did that TikTok?
Well, it's a lengthy TikTok. It's about 10 minutes. And I was emotional because I felt like what was discussed in court was not aligned with what my experience was. I noted several things. I'll try to summarize some of them. There was mention that there's individual therapy on the unit. There is not. There was mention of seeing a doctor every day. I felt like there.
She watched the trial from her living room, a former insider scrolling through testimony, and what she saw made her so angry she recorded a 10-minute video that would eventually land her in a courtroom. Her name is a former mental health specialist and clinical social worker who spent nearly 8 years on the very unit where Lindsay Clancy was held. She knew the schedules, the ratios, the reality behind the glossy descriptions. And when she heard the prosecution paint a picture of the clock care and abundant resources, she did something remarkable. She volunteered to testify. Before we go deeper into what the evidence actually shows, make sure you're subscribed to Shadow Jury Archives. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the facts. Imagine a hospital ward where one doctor is responsible for 23 patients on a holiday weekend.
The TikTok, it's about 10 minutes, and I was emotional because I felt like what was discussed in court was not aligned with what my experience was. I noted several things. I'll try to summarize some of them. There was mention that there's individual therapy on the unit. There is not. There was mention of seeing a doctor every day. I felt like there was some misleading of that. You do see a doctor every day, but on the weekends and on a holiday, it's one doctor who's seeing all of the patients. The meetings can be as short as 1 minute. Many patients decline those meetings, and they're
where a social worker's entire interaction with a patient can be compressed into a 1-minute check-in, where therapists are told explicitly that spending more than 15 minutes with any single patient will get them in trouble. That is not a rumor. That is sworn testimony.
Now, in your 98 years, however many years of experience that you had, is that what your understanding was in that unit?
No, that's not what I was understanding, no.
So tell the judge what your understanding was from your...
Her credentials were solid.
And what degrees do you have?
So I have my master's in social, well, I have my BA in sociology. I have my master's in social work, and then I have 2 social work licenses, I guess. You have to get one before the other. So I only go by a licensed independent clinical social worker. So, but you have to get it's very confusing. You have to get 2 licenses, essentially.
You have those licenses.
A master's in social work from Boston College. Licenses in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Years of experience on the short-term unit. The same STU where Lindsay Clancy was admitted on New Year's Eve 2022.
What'd you do?
I started as a mental health specialist there, which I think you can sort of try to summarize as those are the counselors are sort of directly on the unit with the patients. Our main role is to keep patients safe.
She knew the staffing patterns intimately.
So there's always I can sort of start with the week, I guess. There's always 4 mental health specialists and 4 nurses during the week for the day shift. And then in the evening, it's 4 mental health specialists and 3 nurses. And then there's 1.5. It's hard to explain. There's at night, there's 3 mental
4 mental health specialists and 4 nurses during the week. 3 nurses in the evening. At night, even fewer. And on holidays, a skeleton crew. The numbers told a story the prosecution's questions tried to obscure. Lindsay Clancy arrived on a Sunday. The following Monday was a holiday. No social worker was on shift either day. The doctor covering the weekend was responsible for every patient on the unit. Meetings could last as little as 60 seconds. Some patients declined those meetings entirely, and the therapeutic activities offered, coloring, model magic clay, Mandela's adult coloring book set to music.
Yes, there's clay on the unit. It's called Model Magic. It's a non-toxic kid. It's it's advertised for kids, but it's on the unit. It's in the nursing station, it's out on the unit. There is a lot of coloring. There's a specific group that I saw in the documents I reviewed called music and mandalas. Mandalas are basically adult coloring books. The designs are kind of abstract. You could compare it to like looking through a kaleidoscope or something, and you color them in. And music and mandalas is a group where you play music and the patients color.
Coloring and clay was not real help. That phrase stuck. A woman with years of experience on that unit, who had restrained patients in crisis, who had performed safety checks, who knew what actual intervention looked like. And she watched Patrick Clancy testify about his wife sitting in a room, coloring, while the system presented that as care. The prosecution had asked Patrick whether he knew his wife had declined groups, whether he was aware of the programs available. The implication was clear. She wasn't interested. The resources were there. The witness watched and thought that is not what happened. She made a TikTok, 10 minutes long, laying out her experience. A private investigator tracked her down. The defense wanted her testimony. The judge ultimately denied the motion, ruling she could not testify because she had been gone for a year, because the records would speak for themselves. But the damage was already done. The gap between what was said and what was true had been exposed. When a woman in crisis is admitted to a psychiatric unit, and the best the system can offer is coloring books and 1-minute check-ins, something has failed. When the doctor responsible for her care is splitting attention across 23 patients, something has failed. When the staffing ratios don't change whether the unit is full or half empty, something has failed. The witness had 8 patients on her caseload. She had to see every one every day, and when asked how much time she could spend with them, she answered without hesitation. 15 minutes, because the people above her made it clear. Spend more time and you get in trouble.
Your patients.
That wasn't my question. My question was, does McLean tell you that you can only spend 5, 10, or 15 minutes with a patient?
Yes, it's directly told from the people above me. It's something that's communicated in a way where you could sort of get in trouble if you're not doing that. So yes, it comes directly from